NHL regular season recap, night 176. We kick things off with a game that was not very friendly to the goalies. The Leafs taking on the New Jersey Devils. Let me mute my TV real quick. Maybe not. There we go. Go Boston College. Anyway, Leafs taking on the Devils. It's a 6-5 final here in favor of New Jersey. Tavares, Haula, Matthews, Foote, and Meyer all scoring in the first to make it 3-2 New Jersey after one in the second. The Leafs tied things back up. Austin Matthews with his second of the game, 68th of the year, approaching 70 pretty quickly. David Kampf with the other goal to actually give the Leafs a lead momentarily, but Timo Meier with his second of the game makes it a 4-4 game, and then in the third, it's Bratt, Tavares, and a second from Bratt to make that 6-5 victory for New Jersey. Again, neither goalie had a great night. Jake Allen was better than Ilya Samsonov. He goes 27 of 32 for an 844. Sammy just 14 of 20 for a 700. Definitely not one of his better games. Kind of felt like December Samsonov all over again, but sure, just a blip. The Leafs lose this one, unfortunately, to the Devils 6-5. The Sabres hosting the Washington Capitals. A big game tonight for Washington. Not so big anymore for the Sabres. They are officially eliminated from playoff contention, but they did not play like it tonight. Zach Benson scoring the only goal in the first to make it 1-0. Alex Tuch makes it 2-0 a little over halfway through the second. Connor McMichael's 18th of the year makes it 2-1 before we head to the third, where Jack Quinn scores about halfway through to make it 3-1. Dylan Cousins scores an empty netter with about 2.5 to go to make it 4-1, and then Tom Wilson with his 18th of the year makes it 4-2, but unfortunately Capitals not able to bring it back and tie it up. UPL 22 of 24, excuse my dog here, a 917 save percentage for him. For Lindgren, only faced 16 shots, stops just 13 of them for a 912. Tough night for him, one he'd probably like to have back in a game that they had a decent shot at winning, I thought, but nonetheless, it's a 4-2 victory here for Buffalo over Washington. The Flyers visiting the New York Rangers in probably their biggest game of the year to this point. They're looking to snap their crazy losing streak against one of, or really the best team in the league right now in the Rangers, and they end up getting it done by some miracle. Cam York and Artemi Panarin trading goals in the first. Bobby Brink and Travis Konechny both scoring in the second, and then Noah Cates in the third to make it a 4-1 final. They actually outshoot the Rangers, not by a ton, 27-25, but they end up getting the chances they need and capitalizing on them when they get them. Jonathan Quick getting the start for the Blue Shirts tonight, 23 of 27 for him, while Ersson, one of his best games in a while here, 24 of 25 when they needed him most. He came through in a big, big way tonight, and suddenly the Flyers are still alive and squared up for two huge divisional matchups against New Jersey on Saturday and then against Washington on Tuesday that will probably decide the fate of their season. Of course, Washington's still in the race here too, so going to be a really fascinating next week for Philadelphia. We'll see if they're able to stay alive. Depends a lot on the other teams around them. We'll talk about Pittsburgh and the Islanders in a bit, but for now, doing what they can to control their own destiny with a huge 4-1 win over the Rangers. The Penguins hosting the Red Wings, one of the other massive games with Eastern Conference playoff implications tonight. And this game did not disappoint, man. It felt like two teams that were struggling for their lives really all game long. O'Connor, Raymond, Letang, and a second from Raymond in the first, tying us up at 2 after 1 frame. Raymond had a fantastic game in this one. Sidney Crosby in the second makes it a 3-2 game. Brian Rust makes it a 4-2 game. A couple goals that maybe you want back for Alex Lyon. He did not have a great night in general, but Jeff Petrie makes it a 1-goal game in the last minute of the second. And suddenly we are in for a very interesting third. Jeff Carter, though, makes it a, what are we at here, 5-3 game. Shorthanded, 3.5 minutes in. But Dylan Larkin and Lucas Raymond once again just refuse to let this Red Wings team die. Larkin with his 32nd. Raymond completing the hat trick for his 29th. He threw an assist on that Dylan Larkin goal as well, so give him 4 points on the night. We head to overtime, where it was like this wild minute 40, and at the end of it all, Erik Karlsson ends up wide open in the high slot, and he just rips one past Alex Lyon, clean through, no deflection, for a 6-5 overtime victory for the Penguins, who suddenly seem like they have the inside shot at being the Cinderella team to make the playoffs in the East, and we all know what happened with Florida last year. Hopefully, the Penguins can get something like that if they make it to the playoffs. I don't know. I feel like vomiting saying that as a Caps fan, but a really, really fun game here tonight. Crosby was fantastic. Karlsson, of course, the game winner was huge. I thought Chris Letang had a pretty solid game. The goalies in this one were not all that great. Nedeljkovic, 25 of 30 and 833. Lyon was worse, 21 of 27 for a 778, and at the end of the day, the 833 is enough for the win here. 6-5 in overtime for Pittsburgh. The Lightning hosting the Ottawa Senators, giving Andrei Vasilevsky some rest tonight. Matt Tompkins getting the start here for the Bolts, and it's Brady Tkachuk who opens the scoring, but exactly a minute later, Connor Sheary ties us up at 1, and Braden Point before the end of the first makes it a 2-1 game. We head all the way to the third before any more goals happen, and it's Drake Batherson who ties it up at 2. No goals for the rest of the third either. It's a pretty quiet chunk of hockey here from the second period on, and we end up going all the way to a shootout where once again it's Brady Tkachuk who ends up being the hero, the only goal scorer in the shootout. Hedman, Giroux, Point, and Stamkos all stopped respectively by Anton Forsberg and Matt Tompkins, who I thought both had pretty good games, each giving up 2 in regulation. Forsberg, 24 of 26. Tompkins, 25 of 27 in the losing effort. I thought doing a more than good enough job filling in for Vasi, trying to get him some rest before the playoffs start here. But unfortunately, only the 1 point here for the Lightning. For the Sens, it's a feel-good win. It doesn't mean a whole lot for them, but they will, of course, take it at this point. 3-2 in a shootout over Tampa Bay. The Panthers hosting the Columbus Blue Jackets, and the Panthers looked like one of the better teams in the league tonight, and it looked like they were playing against one of the worst teams, and that, of course, is the case for both of these guys. Tkachuk scoring 47 seconds into the game, Rodriguez and Reinhart scoring at the end of the second to make it 3-0, and Tarasenko scores at the end of the third to make it 4-0. Jet Greaves gets absolutely shelled with 46 shots by Florida in this one. He held down the fort to the best of his ability, 42 of 46 for a 9-13. You can't complain about that game if you're a Buffalo fan, office staff, coach, player, etc. He did everything he could to keep his team in the game. Bobrovsky, though, a perfect 25 for 25. No goal support for the Blue Jackets, and it's a tough 4-0 loss for them. For the Panthers, this is a great win. You look very well into shape for the playoffs, giving a team really no room to breathe. I mean, 25 shots, you're not going to get a whole lot better than that against another NHL team, so a very high-quality win for the Panthers against a team they should be beating at this point in the year, 4-0 over Columbus. The Islanders hosting the Canadiens, a massive one here for the Islanders, looking to really kind of lock themselves into the playoffs, not mathematically yet, but if they win this game, they have a very good shot. Jordan Harris scores the first goal, though, for Montreal to make it 1-0. Pierre Engvall, of all people, ties us up in the second. Caulfield scores 3.5 into the third to once again retake the lead for Montreal, but it's Casey Cizikas who ties it about 3 minutes after that one. We head to overtime, and once again, Kyle Palmieri, who's been fantastic for the Islanders as of late, gets his 28th of the year to get them the 2 points, and again, a 3-2 victory here over the Canadiens. Varlamov was not busy, only faces 14 shots tonight, gives up 2. That's an 8.57, but he was just good enough in the overtime to get it done, and it's a victory for them over Montreal. Montembeault, 28 of 31. I thought he played pretty well too, but similar situation, just not enough offensive support whatsoever. They get the point out of it. They're not able to get the 2. It's a massive win for the Islanders, 3-2 over the Habs. Stars taking on the Winnipeg Jets, and this one was a pretty good one. The goalies had pretty good games here. Nick Ehlers in the first, David Gustafsson in the second, Mark Scheifele in the third on the empty net. It's just a 3-0 game. Brossois, the perfect 24 for 24 shutout effort here. Jay Gottinger, 21 of 23, no goal support. Can't win the game. It is what it is. These are two teams prepping for the playoffs. Not an overly exciting game, to be honest. I mean, 47 shots does not exactly set you up for that, so not really too much to talk about in this one. Good to see Ehlers get one closer to 25. We'll see if he can get there. Scheifele, of course, getting 25 this game, so we'll see what happens for these two teams in their last few games of the regular season, but for tonight, it's a 3-0 victory for Winnipeg over Dallas. The Seattle Kraken hosting the San Jose Sharks, and Devin Cooley might deserve the Calder Trophy over Logan Cooley for this game alone. He goes 49 for 50 against the Kraken. It's a 3-1 win for the Sharks. Conan and Dumoulin trading goals about a minute and a half apart in the first. Kyle Burrows and Fabian Zetterlund both scoring about a minute apart as well in the second, and it's a 3-1 win for them. Eklund had 2 assists in this one. Good to see him continuing his success over his recent stretch. Joey Decord, 20 of 23 and 870. Not a great night for him, but again, number one star of the game, maybe of the night, Devin Cooley, 49 saves against Seattle. I mean, there's no words for that. That's a phenomenal performance. One of the best goaltending performances of the year, probably. I know the Kraken are not the most explosive offensive team, but 49 saves is 49 saves, so good for Devin Cooley. Love to see that from the kid. It's a nice little 3-1 win for the Sharks. They're hopefully not blowing their chances at Macklin Celebrini, who looked pretty good tonight despite him losing in the Frozen Four semifinal. So good stuff here from the Sharks, 3-1 over Seattle. Final game of the night here, the Kings hosting the Calgary Flames with the opportunity to clinch a playoff spot, and they do just that tonight. Kevin Fiala on the power play in the first, Arvidsson and Thomas both scoring their third of the season in the second. Huberdeau makes it a 3-1 game about 8 minutes into the third, but then Victor Arvidsson scores his second of the game on the empty net to make it a 4-1 final. Cam Talbot didn't face a ton of shots in this one, but was pretty solid, 22 of 23. Jacob Markstrom didn't have a terrible game either, but 26 of 29 for an .897 in the losing effort. This Flame season, I'm sure, just crawling to an end for him, as he's probably not coming back next season, but we'll see what happens there for tonight. The Kings clinch a playoff spot, move 3 points up on Vegas in that third divisional spot, and of course get the W here against Calgary. That's going to be it for NHL regular season recap night 176. A few games tomorrow, none of them meaning all too much aside from probably that Vegas game, so we'll see you guys then. Not the most exciting night. Saturday, though, it's going to be a banger.